Can you picture taking a flight that takes less than 12 hours to complete? With the world's fastest aircraft, the Lockheed Corporation's outstanding endeavor made it possible. Many people still regard it as the most technologically advanced aircraft of its era, since it could outrun any weapon that could be fired at it by traveling at 3 times the speed of sound. We're talking about the Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird, as you would have guessed, which this video will teach you more about. Soviet surface-to-air missiles crippled Gary Powers' U-2 aircraft. Before Powers could free himself and escape the wrecked cockpit, the plane plummeted from 70,000 feet to 30,000 feet. The Cold War was intensifying in Lockheed's Advanced Development Group on May 1, 1960. In Burr, the Skunk Works, a new aircraft that would fly faster than any aircraft before or subsequently, was already in construction with the goal of enhancing intelligence collection, with a smaller radar cross area and greater altitude. During the 10th Cold War, President Eisenhower greatly recognized the tactical advantages of the U-2's airborne reconnaissance. Now, the request to construct the IM came from Lockheed's customer in Washington, an airplane that can quickly and safely be shot down. One of the greatest aircraft designers of the 20th century, Kelly Johnson, and his Skunk Works team had a history of producing impossibly complex technologies by exceedingly tight timelines. The group, noted for its unwavering sense of responsibility, was the U-2, to name just one example. Its inventiveness in the face of a technological obstacle and its unwavering tenacity. Everything that has come before was not comparable to this new aircraft. Inventing everything was necessary. Johnson noted that he worked really hard to complete the team's most difficult job to date and get the novel, difficult, envelope-bursting aircraft airborne in just 20 months. The new aircraft was designed to travel at a speed of more than 2,000 knots. This new aircraft was required to maintain a record-setting speed for hours at a time. At such a speed, friction with the atmosphere generates temperatures that would melt a conventional airframe, with anticipated temperatures on the aircraft's leading edges exceeding 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Other planes of the era could, in theory, approach that speed, but only in short, after burner-driven bursts. Managing the heat brought up a number of issues that seemed intractable, and practical difficulties. The only material that could offer the airframe the strength of stainless steel, a relatively low weight, and endurance at high temperatures was titanium alloy. However, it turned out that titanium was a very delicate material from which to construct an airplane. The brittle alloy, which broke if mishandled, caused a lot of aggravation on the Skunk Works assembly line and necessitated new training programs for Lockheed machinists who had previously received their education with pressurized steel tools. Soon after, it was discovered that touching titanium made it brittle. Thus, new tools were created, made from titanium. The leading edges of the aircraft would experience great heat due to friction, yet the air outside the cockpit window would be at 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Skunk Works has been ridgeling the issue of how heat may be distributed across the entire airframe for countless hours. Then he remembered a straightforward fact from one of his university courses. Black paint radiates heat while also absorbing it. The plane was given the moniker Blackbird after being painted all black. The first flight of the original Blackbird, known as the A-12, occurred on April 30, 1962. The lone chair. Soon after, the A-12 was replaced by the bigger SR-71, which had a second seat installed for a reconnaissance systems officer and could hold more fuel than the A-12. The SR-71 had its maiden voyage on December 22, 1964. The risk that the jet would be detected and shot down decreased even more as the Blackbird's radar image got smaller, albeit the preliminary test outcomes were. The U.S. administration requested an even more compact radar profile in response to rumors of Soviet radar advancements. To prevent radar signals from reflecting, surfaces had to be modified. The paint was changed to include a radar-absorbing component, and the engines were repositioned to a more discreet mid-wing position. The Blackbird's full-scale replica was then raised on a pylon for radar testing at a covered facility in the Nevada desert. The outcomes were spectacular, with tests carefully planning to escape Soviet satellite observations. The Blackbird model, which is more than 100 feet long, would appear larger than a bird, but smaller than a person on Soviet radar. The 90% reduction in radar cross-section achieved by the team. At the height of the Cuban Missile Crisis, on October 27, 1962, pressure grew to put the Blackbird into service. Air Force Major Rudolf Anderson was killed when a Soviet surface-to-air missile struck him as he was flying a U-2 reconnaissance mission over Cuba. Skunk Works persevered through the various issues that developed as flight testing pushed the limit, setting records almost every time it took off. They responded carefully and creatively. On July 20, 1960, the Blackbird sustained a speed greater than Mach 3. The obstacles kept coming, flying through the sky at 3,000 feet per second, at an amazing altitude of 78,000 feet. The navigational rules needed to be revised. Mountain ranges, coastal lines, and major bodies of water replaced the visual cues for traditional flying highways, rivers, and urban regions. What are your thoughts on SR-71? Would you like to witness this aircraft's rebirth? Post your thoughts in the comments section. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and like it to remain updated. Until then, bye.